The Philadelphia Flyers wound up getting a goalie at the trade deadline. Brian Elliott hurt, Michael Neuwirth hurt, but in comes Petr Mrazek. Caleb Weiler is here. I am Adrian Fedke. Thank God for Caleb, so you can tell me something about this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. He's only 26 years of age, which is awesome. He's only signed until the end of this year, which is a perfect situation for the Philadelphia Flyers, as Elliott and Moyer are both signed until the end of next season. But he is a restricted free agent, so if he plays well for us, we could tender him because he's basically under our control for this year and for next year if we choose to keep him.
Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
I was just going to say, pretty average stats this year, 9-10 save percentage and a 2.89 goals against average. But overall, he's a pretty good goalie, and he's playing behind a pretty crappy Detroit Red Wings defense. So I'm pretty excited to see what he can do with us.
Yeah, so here are the details of the maneuver. So Mrazek acquired from the Detroit Red Wings in exchange for a conditional fourth-round draft pick in the 2018 draft and a conditional third-round pick in 2019. Detroit guaranteed no less than a fourth rounder for Mrazek if Philadelphia makes the playoffs and he wins 5 games for the Flyers during the regular season. That fourth becomes a third. If Philadelphia advances to the conference finals and Mrazek wins 6 playoff games, that third becomes a second. And if Philadelphia re-signs him next season, Detroit gets Philadelphia's third-round pick in 2019. So what did you think about the deal and all those conditions?
Yeah, I loved the deal. I mean, obviously, Ron Hextall had his back against the wall. He needed a goalie, and he still managed to get one and not too steep of a price, which was excellent. If you told me that the Flyers make the Eastern Conference Finals and Petr Mrazek backstops them all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, one, that means the Penguins are probably out, so I'm rejoicing. And two, I'll take that deal all day, give them a second to get us that far into the playoffs. So, excellent deal. I don't know if they're going to re-sign him next year, so they're not really going to have to worry about giving that third up. But if Mrazek does fulfill getting us all the way to the Eastern Conference Final, it would be hard to assume that he wouldn't be back in orange and black after this season.
Yeah, it seems like the popular opinion would be that Mrazek would not re-sign with the team. But reading your article for PhillyInfluencer.com, by the way, plug it, read it, do it. That's Caleb's take, and he's the best in the business. So you actually thought that maybe they would re-sign him. You want to explain that a little bit?
Yeah, ultimately what I would like to see is the Flyers to somehow get rid of Michael Neuwirth. Not that he's not a great goalie. He's pretty old. I believe he's already into his 30s. And he gets hurt all the time. He's just not reliable. As opposed to Mrazek, who is pretty reliable. He's been a starter for the Red Wings. He's been a backup for the Red Wings. And for up to me, even though it's going to cost you a little bit more to get Mrazek under contract next year, he's probably a better stopgap goalie to have behind Elliott or tandem with Elliott moving forward as opposed to Neuwirth. That way they're not stuck in this situation again if both of them go down to injury.
Yeah, and let's speak of those injuries right now. So Elliott is going to be out until late March. He had core surgery last week, good old core surgery. Yeah. And Michael Neuwirth suffered a lower body injury. So the good old lower body injury, we don't know what it is. But that was this past Sunday, I believe. So he seems like he's going to be out a while too. With Elliott, is he going to be the guy when he comes back? Is he the goalie?
It really just depends on how well Mrazek plays. Right now, it looks like Mrazek is going to be the guy moving forward, but Lyon played pretty well against the Canadiens in the Flyers' most recent game on Tuesday. He got the win, and it really just depends on how well Mrazek plays. If he's in a zone, and when he's in a zone, he's on one of the best goalies in the entire league, and like I say, he's only 26. So it ultimately just depends on how well he's playing. If he's just clawing and scratching his way into the playoffs and the Flyers are scoring 7 goals a game in spite of Mrazek, then Elliott's probably the guy coming back. But if he's keeping us in close games, 1-2 goal games, only letting up 2 or 3 goals a game, he's probably your guy going into the playoffs. Yeah,
because that's what I'm hearing. It's a lack of consistency all the time and some attitude problems. That's from what I read. So I'm not the expert here. You are. But I saw 2 summers ago he wanted to get paid after a great season. And he tried to basically get the Red Wings to give him an all-star caliber contract. He wanted to make basically what Jimmy Howard was making. What are your thoughts about all that?
Well, I don't think that's unreasonable. I mean, he did have a great season. He's been in the playoffs twice, and his playoff statistics are phenomenal. And you played the Lightning both times and basically drug the Red Wings into a Game 7 final with the Red Wings in one playoff, or excuse me, with the Lightning against the Lightning in one playoff series. So he has what it takes to be a starting goaltender. There's no doubt about it. Attitude problems, I mean, you heard talk about players like PK Subban who are locker room quote-unquote cancers, and that's why they get moved for players who are less talented and a little bit older, and Shea Weber. But you got to let the talent speak for itself. It is interesting that Mrazek was left unprotected in this year's expansion draft with the Vegas Golden Knights. I thought they should have taken him. I'm glad they didn't in retrospect. But ultimately, who cares what his attitude problem is if he gets us into the playoffs?
The other thing about this move, Detroit is retaining half of Mrazek's $4 million cap hit as well.
Absolutely, and that's huge for the Flyers, so they don't have to worry about eating all of that. And the other thing in hockey, it's a prorated cap. So ultimately, they're really only eating probably about $1 million in cap space, probably a little bit less in the rest of the season. So it's a really good move for the Flyers where the Red Wings were retaining cap and only had to give up a couple of conditional picks. So I really like what Ron Hextall did there, and I really like Petr Mrazek. I've watched the Red Wings a lot because they're in our time zone right here in Michigan, and I think Mrazek's a great goalie, and I think in the right system, especially here in Philadelphia, he's going to do really well.
Yeah, good old Bill's a Red Wings fan, so I'm sure that plays a part in you watching them as well, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. He loves them.
All right, so I got a quote from Mrazek, kind of some of his traits that he's known for. So here's what he says. I'm really confident in playing the puck, helping out the defense. I like to be involved behind the net and try to put the puck on the D's sticks and get the puck out of the zone, especially on the road. That's important when those teams chip the puck behind the net and try to make chaos there. If I can help the D to get it out, that's awesome. So I remember when Ilya Bryzgalov was here, and this was a big problem of his. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. Having a goalie who can handle the puck really well is like having a third defenseman back there, which is definitely excellent. You see players like Henrik Lundqvist and Carey Price who handle the puck with ease, and it really helps their teams get out of the zone and really push the play. So having a goalie who can move the puck, unlike guys like Neuwirth and Elliott, who are okay with the puck but not great, really will help the Flyers just push and drive play moving forward if he can consistently handle the puck well.
There you go. There you go. So ultimately, was this the right move? Were there any other goalies that you potentially wanted, or was Mrazek the guy you wanted all along?
There were some goalies out there. There was Leonard, Robin Leonard, but he just went down with a lower body injury as well, and he plays for the Sabres. So that was kind of null and void at that point. They really couldn't go for him. So ultimately, Mrazek is definitely the best guy. He has playoff experience. He has starting experience. And he's only 26 years old. So if the Flyers wanted to retain him going into next year, they absolutely can because he's a restricted free agent. If they want to keep him from testing the market, they can. So I think ultimately this is the best move.
Carter Hart getting a lot of praise, getting a lot of love. When's he going to be ready for the big show?
So he will be too old to go back to his junior team next year. He will be in the AHL next year playing for the Phantoms. I expect him to get the bulk of the starts. Undoubtedly. He'll be 20 years old next year. I would expect to see him backing up someone the year after that. So 2019-2020 season, I would expect him to be in the NHL.
Okay. All right. And the award for goalies is the Vezina Trophy, correct?
Correct.
Well, they're going to rename it the Hart Trophy for Carter Hart, even though
there's already a Hart Trophy.
I know. That's what I know about the Hart Trophy.
Carter Hart could win the Hart and the Vezina Trophy.
Boom! There you go. The Heart of Hearts, Carter Hart. There we go. All right, so we're going to make this a quick show because I know the Flyers are about to start and drop the puck, so I didn't want to keep you too long here. And also wanted to save some material for next week because, yes, we're doing Flyers videos every week. I know that's going to make Sean Fitzpatrick very happy. He calls me Mr. Hockey. I have no idea why you're Mr. Hockey, not me. I'm not Gordie Howe. But any final thoughts before we depart?
No, I'm really excited to see the Flyers. They're about to drop the puck against the Blue Jackets. Huge divisional game going on tonight. And Mrazek's obviously getting the start. TK, unfortunately, is scratched tonight. So it'll be interesting to see how the Flyers go ahead and mess with their lines there to see what they can do. They're missing Simmons and Travis Konechny. Missing two guys out of your top six definitely hurts.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So they're going to be dropping the puck in about a minute. That is Caleb Weiler. I am Adrian Fedke. This is the Goalie Show. Take care.
Peace.